do the roll call and then we can go from there. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Howard Hannon, he called and said he will not be able to make this meeting. Richard Berlandi.
Here.
David Fox.
Here.
Robert Eisner.
Here.
Neil Elsie.
Here.
Mark Simpson.
Here.
Ned Stachin. Emily Brick. And Robert Canto.
Here.
All right, Chair. We do have.
So in
Yep. We
the absence
have
of,
one vacancy. Go ahead. Sorry.
in the absence of Bob Hannon, I'll run the meeting today. And we need to, is everyone a full member? Because we have, what do we have, 6 total?
Yeah, we'll have to fill in for
Yeah.
Ned and let me see, did he just sign in?
No, that's Annie Carrier.
No,
So, yeah.
Yeah, so he can fill in for Ned.
Okay, as a full voting member.
Yep.
Thank you. So the first item of business is Town of Farmington. Regulate activity within upland review area for removal of limbing and trimming of diseased and rotted trees within 10 feet of a trail, which would impact the proposed paving project for the fall of 2023 on the trail system between Brickyard Road and Red Oak Hill Road.
All right, we've got Dylan Riley from our engineering office. He'll take care of this application.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Good evening, commission members. My name is Dylan Riley. I'll be representing the Town of Farmington project on the trails between Brickyard Road and Red Oak Hill. Allow me to summarize this project. This project will include tree clearing, as Mr. Eisner stated, within 10 feet of the trail on either side, and that is within 10 feet of the paved portion. Bruce has brought up our project area map. The red dashed line indicates our project area that we are asking for review of. Within that area, there are several locations that fall within your 150-foot upland review area. We have several maps depicting those areas as well in closer detail. This project aims at doing a 1-inch milling and a 1-inch paving of the trail after the tree clearing and trimming has been completed. The tree trimming and clearing would commence sometime in July, and the paving would be early fall. Would you go on to
Yep,
the next?
fine.
I will take you location by location for the remainder of my time. The red dashed lines here indicate sections where trees will be removed. All trees are to be flush cut, so no disturbance of soil. We have selected trees that only need to be limbed. These trees could be 15 feet from the edge of trail, but their limbs go over the trail. As part of our purview, we also look to eliminate tree cover over the trail. The town would like to reduce the risk of limbs and branches falling on pedestrians as they're using the trail, as well as we need the clearance for the triaxle dump trucks when the paving project commences. This project was similarly done in 1994, so 29 years ago, when the trail was first constructed in this location. So it has been some time. Bruce, yeah, in this area, in this upland review area, it's about 22 trees that are to be removed and 3 trees that are to be limbed.
Next slide.
Yeah. In this area, we have a detention basin located at 8756 Rosewood Drive. Thank you, Bruce, for pointing that out. Again, as with the last map, the dashed line is the areas where trees are being removed, and the orange dots are the trees to be limbed. You scroll to the bottom, it's 26 trees in this area. And then here's an area with wetlands right before the Big Bird Bridge, if you're walking down towards Red Oak Hill. This is 41 trees with 2 trees to be limbed. These trees that are counted do include your smaller 1, 2, and 3 inch trees and go up to your 30+ inch trees. We did skip the area where the midpoint development is, as they already have this commission's approval, if I'm not mistaken.
And there'll be with the actual lowering of the trail, there'll be quite a bit of trees cut in that section anyways, but that's all under a separate approval.
So getting started back after the Farmington River crossing, we had 1 tree to be removed and 1 tree to be limbed. Down towards the Tungus Mead, we had 26 trees in that small area there, shown by the dashed lines.
Other one, or is that?
Yeah, there's
last one. No, that's the
Oh,
last one.
that's it.
That's the last one.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Are you all set?
I'm all set.
All right, Chair, he's all set.
Great, thank you, Dylan. And Sandy and Bruce, did you note that Commissioner Stachin signed in just after Dylan started talking?
Yes, we did.
Okay, great. So
Thank
Ned,
you.
you'll be voting at this point.
Thank you.
Bruce, on this, is this a full application or do we have discretion that this could be maintenance work?
I think I did, what did I say? Some of the other ones. This one was, you do have that option if you want. But I've actually submitted it as a full application. So.
Okay, and so we can only accept tonight and then action would be 2 weeks out, and that's acceptable for the town's timeframe?
That
Yeah.
works for you? Yep.
That would be acceptable.
Okay, great. Thanks for the clarification. So I'll go around and see if there's any questions from the commissioners. Rich, we'll start with you.
No, I don't have any questions. I think it looks like pretty much maintenance and safety work. That's
Okay,
all I have.
thanks. Bobby Canto,
Same here. Yeah, sound good.
Dave Fox,
I have no questions from the wetland side, but just as a bicyclist, I'm curious, how long will the repaving project take? And how long will the trail be closed for that?
The tree trimming and clearing will take about 2 weeks. We did have an arborist out there as well this past week to help review some of the trees that we have selected. And their estimate is about 2 weeks for the tree clearing. And to do the tree clearing, they're going to use a truck that basically has an arm that reaches up and grabs the tree and has a chainsaw attached and cuts in that fashion. And they will have trucks constantly being loaded. They don't want to leave any debris on the trail. That is my understanding right now. That's their plan. So they'll have trucks moving in and out of the trail. So for approximately 2 weeks, it would be closed, or at least very difficult for pedestrians and bicyclists to use.
Well, for the clearing part.
For the clearing
And
portion.
how about the
The
paving?
paving, I would estimate about a week, probably not even. It is a
Yeah, we're gonna-
considerable length.
Yeah, they're going to actually coordinate that work with the midpoint work. So the midpoints, I think he was saying he wants about 45 days to do that.
Yep.
Because of all the lowering, so they're gonna coordinate the work at the same time, so we're not closing it and opening it, closing it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's why we're doing the tree clearing in July. And then the paving would likely be early fall.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Neil, questions or comments?
Yeah, just a question. You mentioned, and this is with, in particular up on the northern side of this towards Brickyard. You mentioned that the trees were going to be flush cut, and about an inch worth of milling. There are some areas there and closer to Big Bird Bridge where the roots are coming up through the pavement, and actually causing the trail to buckle. Is that going to be addressed during this as well?
Yes, those will be addressed. Those will be I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the roots per se, but I know they will be addressing it.
Okay.
I know they have done this before where I believe they cut the roots and then patch over that area.
Okay. So there
and
will be some disturbance in those areas, but under the trail.
Very minimal, yeah,
Yeah.
only under the trail,
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
absolutely.
Nothing further.
Mark?
No questions except, so are you just partially closing the trail up to a certain section and allow people to come and you put a sign up and tell them they have to detour and go back? Is that what's happening?
We'll likely post something on the town website in the news section. And there will be signage. I believe the trucks will have to access through the portion by the Brickyard Road. So
Yeah.
once we start, the trail's gonna be pretty much closed from Brickyard to wherever they're working. And with it taking 2 weeks, you can kind of estimate how fast paced they'll be going.
Would that parking lot on Brickyard Road be open to the public or, so if they can use it towards Avon, or would it be closed during that time?
I would imagine it would be open.
No further questions.
Thanks. Ned?
So the trees that are being removed and cut flush, but the trees that are being limbed is, I mean, I think one of the nice things about the rails to trails is, you're riding your bike and it's hot and it's sunny and you get to a little shady section, it feels good. Are we looking to completely remove the shade from the trail?
The shade will not entirely be removed. When our arborist was out here, they did recommend leaving some of the larger, specifically oak trees that are closer within that 10-foot parameter. And the oak trees that have limbs that are going over the trail, they told us those are relatively strong trees and we shouldn't be worried about them. The arborist will be there while they're cutting the trees and we'll be making the final determinations. They call it selective trimming and clearing. And that's what they'll be doing. So these numbers at the bottom of these pages, those are kind of our high estimates. I believe this is 22 trees. So it might be 18, could be the 22, but it might be 15 per se. But we also do need to clear above the trail so that the triaxles can raise their beds fully to allow for paving.
Yeah, we were talking, I mean, this was actually constructed in 94. And
Yeah,
I hate to say that I was here back then still. But we.
I
had
hate
the
to say I
discussion-
did the semi-final inspection on the river, on the trail bridge over the river, so.
Oh,
we're-
you did? I
We're
didn't know that.
together.
I didn't realize that. So we had said that when we paved that, we did the same thing. We went through and we did some selective trimming just so the trucks can get in and out. Because if you don't do it, the trucks are gonna destroy the trees because they'll actually be coming
Yeah.
down, hitting those branches and breaking them. So we actually went through and it was a big to-do at the time. We made that canopy, but it's been almost, it's got
30 years. Yeah.
29 years. So that canopy filled in really big with, once you let in that light, it didn't take long for it to come right back. So I think it is, I know we hate to see some of it go, but I think it will fill in very, very, quickly
Yeah,
over time.
our arborists and tree wardens estimate about 2 to 4 years. For additional shade to start coming back, as you would likely remember the
Mhm.
trail.
And like I said, keep in mind, we're not opening it up like an airport, you're still gonna, the main sections like here, like from Route 4 north, that's still gonna be a full canopy, because that is so thick in there. It's just gonna, all you're doing is you're just raising that, the canopy up a little more, so the trucks can get through.
Do we get many limbs falling down on the trail?
We do get a number of limbs and trees that do fall on the trail
Yeah.
every now and then.
And we were talking, I mean, this is the highway thought this would be a great time to not just do that, but to examine some of the trees that are in some bad condition. Should probably remove them now rather than
Yeah.
wait till we pave it and then have trees falling down after the fact. So
Okay, well. If, we certainly want to keep the trails safe.
Mhm.
I think, well. I think the lowering the trail is the worst thing. I think that's gonna be very unsafe, because I think having making the change in the trail where we put that grade down. And then have people coming in from each sides while the people are increasing their speeds. I think that's gonna be a very dangerous condition. But as far as the tree clearing goes, I think it's probably reasonable. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ned. The only comment that I have is, I think it's a pretty straightforward application. It is balancing, the aesthetics and the shading with the safety of doing the proper trimming of the trees. So I think it's a well-intended project, and it will be important just for the engineering and public works departments to coordinate with planning, assuming we approve this in our meeting 2 weeks out. So with that said, unless there's any other questions or
But
comments.
yeah, one other
it would be-
question. So these numbers on the bottom of the plans, is this 41 trees or 22 trees? Yeah. Are those trees removed, or are those trees affected? Like some might be removal and some might be trimming.
When myself and our highway superintendent, Jim Rusbason, went through those were the numbers we got for removal. And,
Okay.
Jim and I went high on our estimate. And that's why we have the arborist to come in and make that final determination.
and keep in mind, he counted the trees, everything from a small little half-inch whip up to a large tree. So
Yeah.
Okay.
in theory, it's probably, you're in that 4 to, you're in that 4 to 6, 8+ range, then that number's gonna drop.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So if there's no further questions or comments, is there a motion to accept this application, and we'll take further action on the 21st?
Don't move, Mark.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think, huh? Yeah, but can he, sorry, did you
Yeah,
put, oh,
that's
okay,
him.
okay, he left them, right? No, I didn't know
Well-
if he kept them in there.
He'd be appointed for him.
Okay,
instead.
oh, that's true, too. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're good to call the vote?
We're good.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We will see Dylan and the town staff back on the 21st.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you, Dylan.
Moving on to the planners report. Bruce, what do you have to say?
Okay, first one is Johnson Avenue, Trump. They've been working with the utility companies. There's been some changes to the plan. So they asked us what we thought, and for the most part, we didn't have a problem with them, but we said, let's just run them by the commission. Let me zoom out one more here, 75. All right, so one of the, so here's here's the existing building, here's that wetland detention basin that they were gonna clean out as part of it. And then here's the new building addition here. Most of the work was going to be inside the paved areas, which as staff, we did not think was going to be a problem. So they're going to reroute the sewer around the building. They were going to originally go in a different direction, but they had a problem with the cover over the water line. The gas lines getting moved as well as part of that. Again, all within the paved area. The only concern we had was with the Eversource. Eversource has making them run a different route. As part of this, they're going to grab the power from this transformer here, run it across the parking lot, down here, and they're going to follow the outside along that ring road access road all the way down to this transformer here. So they will be outside the pavement. They'll be on that slope between the road and the wetlands. So I had discussed with them the possibility of just using some silt socks, straw wattle along that side. And I said that we definitely would like to run this by the commission, just to see if they have any questions or concerns.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. You know, it seems like the relocation's a little closer to the wetlands, but still a substantial separating distance. So I don't think there's any substantial concern on my part, but I'll
And that is all a lawn area. And I think I probably didn't send a picture to you guys. I probably forgot, but you guys can see the GIS, I assume?
Yep.
So it's running along the grass area here. So that's why I said there's plenty of room. I felt if they just used some silt sock, then it wouldn't be a bad
Okay, so I'll just check with the commission to see if there's any questions or comments, and I'll do it in reverse order, so Rich doesn't have to, be first up every time. Ned, we'll start with you. Ned, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Right.
Is that the area where the line's running? Is that mostly grass now?
Yeah, I'll flick you back here. That's what we're just showing here. This is here's the access road. There's a transformer here. So that'll come out of here, run along here for a portion and then jump over through the parking lot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little change, but I think it's still, reasonable. And I think the town staff can handle it with the straw wattles. So that's all I have.
It hasn't been easy. I know Eversource has been getting a lot of demand lately, especially like the Plainville, the building they did in Plainville, they did a lot of upgrading of their services. So a lot of companies have demanding more power now. And so they've been trying to scramble to get this done. So this was a last minute change as a part of it.
Okay, so it sounds like Ned was all set. Mark, any questions or comments?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Neil,
No, this seems reasonable.
thanks. Dave,
Just one quick question. What's the distance to the wetlands approximately? I haven't seen any measurements here.
I've got Greg from the design firm. Unfortunately, I cannot do this on my screen. I can do it on my computer, but I can't do it here. Greg, are you able to scale that quickly?
Yep, I can get a pretty accurate little estimate right now. At the closest point to the property line, we're at about 30 feet. At the closest point to the wetlands, we're at about 45 feet. It's going to be about a 3-foot wide trench.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Bobby? Bob Canto, any questions?
No, I'm good. It sounds like a pretty routine thing. I'm clear.
Thanks. Rich?
Is this going to be direct bury or are they doing a conduit system?
This is a main, so they are going to be using a concrete encased conduit.
Okay, and it's about 3 feet of cover on it, I assume?
I think the required cover would be close to around 2 feet to 2.5 feet, and the actual concrete encased conduit would probably be about 1 foot to 1.5 feet wide.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so Bruce, I gather that none of us expressed any significant concern or reason for an application. So is the commission comfortable with this just staying with staff for review and erosion control measures for protection? Is that, and Bruce, we don't have to do a motion, correct?
No.
Yeah, yes.
More or less, just if everyone had any, if anyone had any problems with this and felt they needed a new application, definitely let us know. But other than that, just we're going ahead with the staff comments at this point.
Great. Thank you, Bruce. I think we're set with this
Awesome.
one.
All right, Greg, thank you for calling in.
Thank you very much, Bruce, and thank you very much, everyone. Have a great
Yeah.
night.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye.
Next one is 114 Red Oak Hill Road. Okay, as part of this, if you recall, you guys had approved this late last year. Okay, there has been some changes since that time. Move this out of the way here. The last application included a larger road off of here and with a cul-de-sac, and I want to say it was like 3 or 4 lots here. Okay, they've now made some changes. They've actually increased the length of Dominique's Court, okay, and added more lots. And on the back side, they have only added 1 lot off of a private road. So as part of that, the basin had to get moved. Okay, so what we have here, let me just go to the next page. One more page here. Right. So as part of that, they have a smaller basin. All right. So here's the existing house. Here's the proposed house. It goes into this basin, spills over into the wetlands, and then under that pipe, under the trail, and then off down towards Mead. So what we have here is a plan that they had put together for us. Little snippet of what the actual changes are. Okay, so you can see the yellow is the previously approved limits of a clearing. All right, the blue is the 150-foot upland, and the green is now the new limits of clearing. So as you can see, this area will not be cleared as part of the house. So there is a smaller increase in the or decrease in the amount of clearing limits. So pond has pretty much been moved a little bit, but nothing really dramatically. So I just wanted everyone to see this revised plan, make sure everyone's in a favor of it before we go back to planning and zoning.
And Bruce, the change was prompted by a change in the road design?
Exactly. Yeah, they were working with the client here. We had some concerns. There was problems with the water extension. There was a few other concerns working back and forth. So everyone sat down and we decided to go back and just extend Dominique's Court, make it a more formal road, and just put a smaller road on this side. So everybody felt that was the same. That was the best option. The same number of lots. There's been no increase in the number of lots, and as I said, there's been and there's no disturbance of any wetlands, and there's actually a slight reduction in the area of disturbance within the 150-foot upland review.
Perfect. Bruce, I was just going to ask if there was any additional wetland impact, and you just said no, it's actually a reduced buffer zone work. So great. I appreciate that update.
And
I'll go around and check.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I've got the engineer on line 2. If anyone has any questions that I can't answer. All right.
Thanks, Bruce. Right, I'll go around and check with the commissioners. Rich?
Just refresh my memory. The detention basin, is that going to be privately maintained?
Yes.
And,
Yep.
okay, and by that property owner, lot 7?
No, it's going to be an HOA. There's going to be an HOA. There's 2 actual basins. There's one up by Coppermine, and there's this smaller one down off of the lot off of Red Oak. They're all going to be under one HOA, and they will both be maintained by the same HOA.
Okay, is there there'll be some kind of an easement to access it? I assume.
Exactly, yes, yep, and there's an easement covering that area as well.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's the only questions I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Rich. Bobby, any questions?
No, where they're actually reducing less cutting and clearing. Am I correct in that?
Yes,
Yeah,
they're actually,
Yeah.
they're actually reducing the level. Let me zoom in here.
yeah, it was tough to see that green line.
Yeah, tough to see, but here's the green is the new line. And yellow is the previously approved. So as you
Previous.
see, this chunk was to be cut out. Now it's being saved, so.
So now that section's being saved. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Good
Good.
luck.
Thank you. Dave, any questions or comments?
Yeah, the new smaller detention basin, that's only going to take the runoff from that one lot.
Oh, both
Seven.
of these lots, yeah, both these
Oh,
lots are
okay,
about
7 and 8.
possibly, and back from here too. You'll see some of this water swelled through here. So it will take
Oh,
this
okay.
area here.
Did the other detention basin to the north that was going to service that part of the development, is that going to have to be bigger as a result of this, or?
Yes, yep, that got a little larger as well, but it's still within the same easement area. So
Oh, okay.
that hasn't changed. In terms of size, but I mean, in terms of the lot area or the area, but it's been a little deeper and a little bit wider.
Hey, that's all I
Okay.
have. Thank you.
Neil, any questions or comments?
Yeah, the green line down in the lower side there, right? It look, are they cutting more there than we approved? Because north of that blue line, right? The yellow line is to the left, and we had approved
Yes.
cutting to there, and now are they going further to the right?
Yes, all right. You know what? You got me there. Yes, I apologize. There is a little more clearing here because the yellow was what was approved and now the green is what's being, so there is a little bit more clearing here.
So it looks to me like
Let me do
net,
this.
they're probably clearing more.
Let me do this. Let me do one thing. Okay, yeah. Oh, no, that's not the one I want. That's not the one I want. Where is it here? I've got the original approved set. Here's the inland set. Yeah, so there's that curl in that line right there, and then it goes out. And this was another lot, yeah. So yeah, that was a little more, so I apologize, there is a little more clearing there based on that one.
Bruce, if I could just chime in, Brian Panico from Harry Cole and Son.
Hey, Brian.
The line that you see there, the yellow, is just depicting what was the original plan on that previously approved set. And if Bruce, if you jump back to that previously approved set of plans, I just wanted to note that the hatched area is the area of conservation of the conservation easement. So that's the only area that would be required to be left as the treat area. So even back into that corner, that lot could have been cleared in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'd have to come back to commission for approval anyways, because it's within 150 feet, maybe not.
No,
maybe
so
not.
even
Nope, it is
everything
more
that
than-
we're discussing right now, as far as the increased cutting or any of that stuff, is all outside of the 150-foot upland
Exactly.
review line.
So when you go back to here, then to show them that when you come back here, yes, there's the 150 foot. So there's the regulated area. So you're reducing this or not, but this is the area that will increase. So if in the upland, in the 150 foot upland review, there's a reduction. So.
So my other question is, I think we approved this in pieces, right? Because
Dominic's Court, yeah. The Dominic's Court did not go to wetlands because there was
Okay.
no wetlands within there. This section did, and that's when you go back and look at, this is what you guys had originally approved. As you can see, here's a Red Oak Hill Road.
Yeah.
We came off, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 lots with this detention basin down here. Now if you look at this line here, this corner point, you can see where the basin was tucked into the corner. And it's more or less in the same spot, but just a little bit smaller. So you flick it back to here.
So while in total, the number of houses hasn't changed, have they shifted from one property to the other?
She shifted what?
Well, we approved what, 4 houses in the application that came to us earlier this year?
Exactly.
Are there more or less than 4 in this? I guess I'm trying to see what
total,
piece
yeah,
we approved.
we've added both of those. We've added both together. So
Yeah,
previous.
that's where I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it parsed out.
Previous Dominic's Court. So there's 4 here, all right, and I don't have the original. I don't think I have the original Dominic's Court here. Yeah, I didn't bring the Dominic's Court ones into here.
So to try to answer that, the original Dominique's Court was 4 lots, approved as 4 lots. And then Red Oak Hill just recently was approved as another 4 lots for a total of 8.
Yeah.
And now we're proposing to do 6 lots off of the Dominique's Court side and just 2 lots off of the Red Oak Hill side. So not as formal of a road. It's more or less a private driveway off the Red Oak Hill Road side. That's why the basin is smaller. There's less impervious, less of that runoff going to that basin. And Dominique's Court gets a little bit longer and adds 2 lots onto that.
So Neil, here's the
Okay.
plan. Here's the 4 lots that was previously approved, and then there was 4 lots over here. So all we've done is extended the road and made them 6 lots here and the 2 lots on this side. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Mark, any questions or comments?
I think everyone's asked those questions I would have asked, so nothing further.
Yeah, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so I guess I'm a little confused too about the two. When we didn't approve anything from the side that comes off of Coppermine, did we? Because
No, because
All
there
right,
was
so that
no
didn't come between-
wetlands.
there's no
Yeah.
wetlands on that side. Okay,
Exactly.
because
So-
my concern is they've already done a ton of work over on grading and everything else over on Coppermine and
Yeah, what happened was they started this side thinking that what you guys previously approved was going to be the plan. So more that Brian and I started getting into it with Shannon and stuff, we ended up tweaking it and it just extended Dominic's Court and just added these 2 lots over here. So what they're building over there is still in line of, if this does get finally approved by planning and zoning, which is next, then they're still in line with their previous approvals.
okay. So they didn't they didn't jump the gun with that work that they're already doing. It's just that.
Nope.
No,
Nope,
okay.
that's in accordance with the previous approval, and like I said, it's pretty much the same. All they're doing is extending the road. Instead of the cul-de-sac being here, it's moved down a little bit, so.
And on the other side, that the lot number 8 is
Existing
they're
house.
gonna keep the existing house,
Yep.
but they'll be considered part of the development
Yes, exactly.
and that drainage is that gonna drain anything into the?
Yeah, as you can see, here's the house here. This
Yeah.
will come down, this backyard will come down through here.
Oh, and drain into, okay,
Right
yeah.
into there.
All right, and so there won't be a cul-de-sac, it'll just be a shared driveway that
Exactly.
comes down to Red Oak Hill,
Mhm.
right? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't seem like it's a major change. That's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed. Bruce, can we just revisit the site plan that showed where the additional clearing was? I just want to make sure that we're clear on. Yeah, so, and I guess maybe this would go to the engineer. Was there a calculation how much additional clearing is occurring in the regulated area?
So there's actually less clearing occurring in the regulated area. So the yellow line that Bruce had pointed out, that was the previously approved. The purple line is the line that's shared. So that's the same from the previous approval to what we're doing now. And the green line is the new proposed limits of clearing. So you basically see that kind of upper corner that Bruce is circling right now, that was all going to be cleared, that portion of the regulated area, and now it's going to be in conservation easement, so it will not be cleared. So we're reducing the total clearing in the upland review area.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I just want to make sure that, you know, I was clear and that the rest of the commission was clear as to whether there was, you know, more impact within the regulated area or less impact. And as we started off the conversation, it was less impact. You clarified that, again, it's going to be less impact in the regulated area. So with that, I think, you know, my opinion would be it's consistent with our original approval. It's less intrusive. It's the regulated area, so it could remain with staff for, you know, any approval and on-site monitoring of the changes. If the rest of the commission feels that way, then it would be the same as the Johnson Avenue application. You know, no further action required by our commission.
Yeah,
So sort of
one other question, Bruce. So there's no major changes in the on the conservation easements, just that little area that we've been discussing.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
So if the rest of the commission concurs, then we can just leave it with staff. If anyone disagrees with that assessment, then please comment. Okay, Bruce, I think we're good. We'll leave it to you and the staff to work out the details on the revisions.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.
All right. Last item on the agenda is is for the midpoint development. So if in the agenda review, we chatted a little bit about what's going on in terms of the conservation easements and the kayak and the beach area. So as you can see on the plan here, what I have is one of the presentation plans that were pulled from the wetlands public hearing. All right, and just to kind of orient some people, I'm not sure if everyone was in on this one, but the buildings, you've got the lowering of the trail, you've got the new trail running through here, coming up right along the sides of the river, coming back up and back into Farmington Avenue. All right, you've got the high water stream of flood elevation here. Okay, whoops, around through here. And as part of that, they agreed to add a conservation easement about 150 feet off of the high water flood. All right, so that's where this comes in through here. Okay, and as you can see, a portion of the trail would run through the conservation easement. So at that point, give me a second here, you can see there was some grading associated with the buildings and as well as the trail. So we knew that the easement would have to be modified at that point to accept the trail going through the conservation easement. All right, so from there, also, let me get to this one here. It's not good. I think I lost everything. Yeah, everything gone on top. That's not good. So as part of this, they had broken it out. These were your alluvials. Okay. And these were a palestrine wetland along through here. All right. This the area of the existing or of the future kayak launch and the beach was outside, and it was a mowed lawn, because this is a raised area. This area is much lower and prone to flooding. Okay. It's not going good. This is locking up on me. Okay, this one. So kind of going back to that, here's your alluvials. Here is as indicated on the drawing. I apologize, this is not good. Losing the, I don't know where it went.
Project's not good.
That's right. Next one. Go left.
This one. Oh, why it won't click on it? No, that's not the wetland report. That's something else. Yeah, these files are pretty big. I had everything set, and now that we're using them, they're starting to crash on me. Give me a second, I'll reopen it. All right. So, as you can see, these were the alluvials, all right? And these are reflected under the federal and state wetland areas here. The area of the boat launch and the kayak was excluded from that because it was a raised area. So down in the lower flooded area was what's considered the wetlands. All right. Next. So now we come to the point of we're working on our easements, okay? And we're because they're getting ready to close on the property. So we've been trying to finalize these easements, working through with the attorneys and stuff. They've now added a segment where they want to include a portion of this area of the boat launch. Give me a second. So here was the approved area of the boat launch and the kayaks and the beach. And they want to break this up into what they're calling a active recreation area. And they want to add an area over here for a passive recreation. And they define that on this map through here. All right. As part of that, they want to do some mowing, frequent mowing of there to keep the grass down so people can walk through there and hike through there without getting any ticks. So at that point, we felt it needed to go back to the inland wetlands commission because we felt this was outside of what the original approval was. So what I also have here is we went out there with them and walked it. And here's some photos. We go back to the beginning here. So this is some photos of the area. Okay, we're standing down by almost at the edge of where the changes from the active to the passive recreation area. And as I'm swinging clockwise, this will be going upstream. So you'll see this is the area of the federal and state wetlands that they want to make an active recreation area or a passive recreation area with some frequent mowing of the area. And up there was the trail will be up in that area. And as we come around, here's the boat launch, and you can see it's up in a raised area. So we're up on the boat launch area now, looking down into that passive recreation area. So you can see it does. This was April 27th. So it was after some significant rains and the water and it had become inundated.
When did we go, Bruce, when did we go visit? We did a site visit. What time of year?
Yes, I got that right in my notes here. I want to say you guys went through two separate times.
Summer 2022,
Yeah.
2021.
Here.
It was summer 2021.
Mhm.
There were two groups that went through, depending on availability,
Yeah,
but it was rough, I believe, August of 2021, July and August of
Yes.
2021.
Yeah, one time we went through that area was pretty much totally flooded.
And then, and then the hearing was on September 22nd, and it was approved at the November 3rd meeting. So at this point, this is where we are at this point. Now we felt that the applicant should go back to the Wetlands Commission, discuss their request with them. The applicant is here with their whole team. So if anyone has any questions for the team, definitely reach out. But that's kind of where we are at this point, wanting to get some further direction from the commission. If they, whether they feel we were actually correct or not.
Great. Thanks for that overview, Bruce. And, you know, my initial thought is the prior approval that the commission made was pretty restrictive in terms of what we were anticipating for disturbance along the river. It was, you know, to be a passive recreation area. It was one-time impacts for the installation of the walkway. The design of the walkway was going to limit and discourage people from going off path. There was a conservation easement, and when we, as a commission, look for the conservation easement, it is to substantially restrict and control any activities. So if we're going to sort of revisit that foundation, my thought is it should be in the form of a formal application. And if there's going to be maintenance, Bruce, what's the frequency of the maintenance that would be going in for trimming and mowing and that sort of thing?
We don't have an exact, there was no exact point at that time. Let me,
If anyone from the development team can
Yep.
comment on that, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, it's Tom Daly from SLR, for the record. The intent was just to keep the grass low. The intent is not to go out there when it's inundated. Yeah, Bruce, this actually was the drawing I was gonna actually bring up. So during inundations, we would stay out of it completely. But historically, this area has been mowed for short vegetation, short grass. So as you can see, there's probably periods of time, especially during the summer and in the fall when it dries out quite well. So the area on the right is really what we're trying to maintain. So we're not looking to turn this into a lawn. It's just simply keeping the same type of vegetated habitat that has been occurring over the years. And it's been the applicant's experience over the 5 years of working on this property that this area has been mowed. Recently, so it would just be during the drier periods. We would just mow it and keep the grass down, and then, you know, allow for some passive recreation, no different than what's permitted through your regulations. We're not looking to put any formal structures in here, not looking actually to encourage anything, just allowing people to, you want to go, you know, fish from this point, or you want to just go for a walk in the grass, so be it. So essentially, we're looking for to just mow it enough that it stays as the grass it is today, or the low grass that's today, and not let it kind of turn into something different over time. So it's really just maintaining the property. But anytime it's wet, like where you saw in the picture, we will not be going into that area.
Thanks, Tom. So I'm going to conclude my initial comments and just, you know, hearing that response, I really think that this should be revisited with an application, and there should be a formal maintenance and management plan that's put together that we would be able to respond to. That's sort of, you know, my introductory comments. I'm going to bring it around to the other commissioners to get their feedback and see what other questions or comments they may be. And you know, as we did before, I'll sort of flip the order. Rich will give you a little more time to think, and Ned, actually, yeah, Ned, we'll start with you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, because I don't think, you know, to have this be a mowed area is not something we would do typically in a conservation easement. So I do think it is a different use, and you might say it's not, but to me, it absolutely is. So I think we're going to need an application and more information as to you know, what their plans are for this area. I mean, it's like they offered it as a conservation easement, and, you know, we accepted the project. I think getting that conservation easement was a big part of the acceptance, and now they're trying to withdraw it and say, well, we want to cut the grass there. We might want to make it easier for people to use it without worrying about ticks. And I don't, that wasn't the thought behind our approval. So I think it absolutely needs an application.
Thanks, Dan. Mark?
I think the application is necessary. I'm a little confused why this needs to be done. I mean, in the area around there, especially where they bring the rails trail down into the project, there's plenty of places for people to do their walking and on a safe and drier, type of trail. And I like the fact that this area would be maybe by not mowing it, if it was done in the past, it becomes a new habitat for other creatures that normally wouldn't reside there, but maybe because if we let it go back to what it was at one time before people started messing with it, I think it's probably a good thing we leave it alone. And as far as I can see, it's wet a lot. And so I'm really not feeling really positive about what they're asking. That's all.
Mark? Neil, questions or comments?
I would agree. I think the formal application is necessary. And just for the record, I was not on the commission when this was initially approved. So I'm not as familiar with what the intent of the commission was back when it was approved, but I'll get up to speed on that if there is another application.
Thanks, Neil. Dave, questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll agree that the application be warranted here. I was curious, in the original application, this was called an emergent wetland, and there was a whole bunch of wetland species identified in the area, but now we're talking more like it's a grassed area. So I'm not sure what exactly is there and what's being proposed.
Maybe Megan can jump in, because the report that they provided does call it a regulated alluvial floodplain alluvial soils, but the previous soils report had indicated that it was actually a federal / state wetland. So I don't know if there was a confusion back and forth or what.
Hi, how's everyone? Megan Raymond, for the record this evening with SLR, professional wetland scientist. Not that we're in the planner's report, so no formality, but it's rote, so sorry. Yeah, so it is alluvial down at adjacent to the river in that location, but it also is federal because it has the 3 parameters of a federal wetland. It has poorly drained soils, hydric soils, it has hydrophytic vegetation, and as well the hydrology, obviously, with the river. As it relates to the species are predominantly this herbaceous grass. There are some canopy trees along the river, right up directly on the bank itself, but there's a preponderance of herbaceous plants, Japanese stiltgrass, that did just happen to be mowed when it was dry enough to mow. But that is a hydrophytic plant. So it's not like a turf grass or anything like that. But if you had Japanese stiltgrass and you mowed it, you would think that could be a lawn type of thing, because you're just cutting off the tops and it's just a nice green lush carpet there. But that is the dominant species. There's a little bit of ferns here and there, but generally what we saw is the Japanese stiltgrass. Granted, I have not been to the site since 2021, so I don't have recent observations, but that was our characterization in the ecological assessment report. So it's federal, it's alluvial, and it is a wetland in this area, but it does have an herbaceous dominance. And I think the intent is to maintain it as it exists in that manner, with some management along the way, and specific to a mowing activity. I'm happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks, Dave. Bobby, questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm right on board with all the other commissioners where I believe this needs an application. I myself am in the same boat as Neil, where I wasn't on the commission at the time this was approved. So I don't understand, or I guess I'm not familiar with what the intent was, but I'm a little bit confused. I mean, we just finished hearing that it was not to be promoted for use, but meanwhile, we're showing a beachland area. So I don't understand what a beachland area is for if it's not to promote use. Also, why are we having a kayak area? Is this going to be a destination point, a takeoff point? I'm just, I'm having a hard time with the whole thing, especially since it is very, very wet and very, very wetland, federally and all, and now we're gonna start encroaching on it. You know, who's gonna maintain the property? Who's gonna maintain the beach area? Who's gonna police it to make sure that it doesn't get contaminated? There's just too many what ifs. So I agree. I think this needs a whole new application.
Rich, questions, comments? Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, I would agree that it should come in as an application, if nothing else, to memorialize the intent of how this area is going to be managed going forward. You know, as commission members change, it'd be good to get it into the record. What specifically was approved and what activities would be envisioned for these areas. That's kind of where I'm coming from. That's it.
Thanks, Rich. So Bruce, so that was the underlying question, is whether this was sort of a minor revision interpretation, or if an application would be required. Did we address this correctly?
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
And
And because we are,
if they decide to submit an application, at that point, the commission would decide whether they feel a public hearing is required or not, or if this could just be done as a site plan review.
okay, thanks, Bruce. And because I'm the chairman tonight, I'm going to take some liberty and offer it up to the project team, or in a less formal setting, since it's a sort of the planner's report. You know, Abe and Tom and Megan, you've got us here now. So if there's, you know, questions or comments or feedback that you want to give us right now informally, that would help you sort of figure out what you want to do, how you want to approach it. You know, I'll give you some leeway if there's any questions or comments.
I guess I'll ask one question. Thank you for that, Robert. So, you know, there is the ability to use wetlands as recreational areas. And I know that, let's just put the conservation easement aside for just a minute. But as it relates to that sort of non-regulated as of right use of wetlands as recreational features, within that, I guess, the issue here, so I mean, people can walk through a wetland, you don't need a permit for that. I think it just needs to be very clear as to what extra additional layer of protection the conservation easement requires, because obviously the active recreation, which is not wetland, and that was written into the permit, is going to be lying juxtaposed to this area. The difference between the two is, I think it's about 0.34 for the active and 0.6 for the area to the west that we're looking to allow for passive. And I think that I just do think the management of that passive area as it relates to the emergent marsh is something that we should all consider, because of the abundance of non-native species on the property and a managed succession. If you just let that area go, I think what's going to come up is not going to be particularly desirable. So it's just a matter of, if you did take this as a application, would there be a tolerance for management in this area to allow for some degree of passivity, or is your recreationally, but is your standard always that it's just a no-go zone? Because when I was reading through the restrictions, it didn't look like that was the case. It looked like it had to remain in its current state, and the current state is herbaceous. and that current state has been managed with mowing, and to maintain it as herbaceous as proposed with our ecological communities, it will require some degree of maintenance over time. So I just do think that's what we'd be looking to get some clarification on. I hope that was a little rambling, but do you see where I'm driving? Like, do you look at the conservation easement as you can't manage a conservation easement?
Yeah, I think that's, and I'll give you my feedback and I'll defer to Shannon and Bruce and, because they've educated us well along the way as commissioners on, what our different options and tools are. But I think you're right, Megan, that, when we put a conservation easement, the intent is to leave that in a more natural state, because as you said, and I agree with you, that you can, actively use a wetland area. That's one of the uses of right. So a conservation easement, from my perspective, comes in when we want additional protection and less use of that area where it would stay in a more natural state. And I think the balance with this project is going to be it's the waterfront, the riverfront that the property has is a tremendous asset to the development. It's a tremendous resource for the citizens at large. Farmington and anyone else that may, use the shores of the river and the river itself. So I think, we as the commission have a responsibility to make sure that that resource is properly managed. And that's why I think we're talking about more intense activities, mowing, tree trimming, those sorts of things. And again, I'm just one commissioner, would like to see that in the form of a maintenance and management plan so that we're all clear on what areas there are activities proposed and what are those activities. So that's sort of my feedback, and I would welcome Bruce and Shannon to join in on the conversation since we have these conversations, with many applications and, when and how to use a conservation easement. That's my feedback. So I welcome input from the town staff, and I also welcome the input from the other commissioners, particularly those that voted on the application previously.
Bob, yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, that was our whole point, is that this was never discussed, so we did not feel that as staff, we were allowed to let this happen without going back to the commission. So that's number one. Number two, I mean, the wetlands report did state there are some invasives in there. There is some invasive work in that area, but it also stated there was some other like sensitive fern and some other plants that were there. So like I said, not knowing what and how to maintain those, I think that's definitely a concern. And maybe Megan, if they do come back for a wetlands application, should probably go back out, look at it again. And maybe she went out there when it was recently mowed, unfortunately, and now it's had a couple of years to kind of assimilate. So maybe it takes a whole nother inspection out there.
This is Shannon Rutherford. Again, I guess that's rote to town planner. I just joining the meeting. I've been here for the full discussion with respect to this planner's report item. So yes, so with respect to passive, the conservation easement as written allows for passive use of an area, which has been translated as hiking, walking, those types of uses, nothing motorized, and certainly no structures. Structures are prohibited of any kind. So the use as a passive recreation was fine. Our sticking point was the maintenance, which was including regular mowing rather than perhaps seasonal or less frequent mowing than what we would typically see in a like even our mixed meadow areas and conservation areas that are programmed in as part of developments and whatnot, that seemed more appropriate for this area as opposed to mowing it on a weekly basis. It would seem, a handful of times during the season. And then the tree trimming that was being worked into the language of the conservation easement was concerning when we balanced that against the the documentation that we felt that had been presented to the commission. So again, yes, there were very known things that we had to take into account with respect to the conservation easement, the trail, the invasive species management, the grading, some of the detention basins, certainly the active area. This additional, maintaining this additional area to the immediate west, we went through the record. We just felt that it required some clarification, and the conversation had to be brought back to the commission because of those, specifically that maintenance element of that passive recreation area. So that, Megan, is that helpful for you?
Yes, certainly. Thanks a lot, Shannon.
Hi, I'm Abe Cowd, the developer. And our main concern is we have an active area where people are going to be lounging around. And then right adjacent to it, there will be that grown weeds with ticks, and it's not going to be safe. Maybe Shannon and Bruce can give us a schedule just to keep it mowed down to a point when it's dry into a safe condition. So we don't have tenants going down there and 5 feet away from the active area. They can pick up ticks and whatever else is going to be there. Maybe that will be helpful to us. You know, we've been at this, and this is not your fault, but we've been at this almost 5 years, and time is running out. And to come back with another application is just going to take more time. You can maybe give us, Shannon and Bruce, give us the schedule that you would like us to maintain it with, and we will do it.
Yeah, and Abe, I think they would kick that to the commission, and the commission would probably say, we don't want any mowing or maintenance, because again, when we vote to include a conservation easement, we really want that area to remain in a natural state. So I hear what you're saying about, you know, wanting to protect people from ticks, but you know, that's part of the natural world. And the benefit to this site is there's a lot of natural world right there along the river. So from, you know, people have to use common sense. If they're going to be going into, you know, a wooded natural area, you have to be tick aware. I don't think the approach is to eliminate the habitat to try and protect people from nature. It doesn't work that way.
I think also the two things that I maybe misunderstood. Number one, in the last 4 or 5 years, every time we went there, that area was mowed. And we just mistakenly maybe assumed that it was going to stay that way. And when we asked for the recreation area, frankly, I didn't realize that it was outlined the way it is, because on the plans and in the approval, it doesn't really define the area, the active recreation area. There's no size or definition of that area. And maybe it was just, maybe we misunderstood, but there's no definition on the plans. Well, that's not just the active area, because you can see that line goes all the way up on top to the west.
FEMA line, but I mean, it shows the gazebo, it shows the beach umbrellas and the kayak, you know? And
But
this
it doesn't
is an
limit.
elevated area. So
It doesn't limit. And in the approval, the commission said for the town to modify the conservation easement to allow for recreation area. It didn't say how much, how big, didn't define any active or passive. And we're not looking to make a passive recreation area in that area. We just want to keep it clean and mowed. So if people want to step and walk over there to enjoy the river, they can safely do it.
Right. But I'm seeing a gazebo, I'm seeing boat docks, I'm seeing umbrellas.
Yeah.
That to me constitutes a passive recreation area.
Well, Commissioner Canto, just to clarify this, again, this is Shannon Rutherford. That actually was is an active, it's an active area. It's
Yep.
upland. It is not in the, it's actually a portion of area that sits higher than the wetland immediately to the left. And so that was the terms being used as an active area. Boats are going to be brought in and out. There's a paved path down part of the way. The boat dock is there. So that we understood was to be, I'll say, actively maintained within the this conservation, the 100-foot conservation easement area across the frontage. What was newly introduced was the concept of a passive recreation area adjacent to it and the maintenance that went with it. So again, the conservation easement in and of itself, the original language of our conservation easement, regardless of where it's located in Farmington, allows for passive recreation within the conservation easement areas. So again, this where you're seeing the boat launches and docks and all that, we and kayak racks that had been vetted out fairly in a fairly detailed manner during the meetings with respect to the desire to access that area and have people coming and going.
Sorry, but I don't think that area was defined and outlined in, with any kind of measurement. It was just pointed to an active, not even active. I don't know where the active and passive came from. It just pointed to a recreation area on the plans. And we're not looking to create a recreation area in that what you call passive area. We're just looking to keep it clean and presentable, safe.
Yeah, and I think what I heard from the commission tonight was we all support that this should occur under an application before the commission. We believe that we have jurisdiction over this area. I would advise you to develop a maintenance and management plan and describe, what you intend to do and when you intend to do it, and that would be the basis of an application that we would review and either approve or not approve.
And when you look at the size of this area, it's 0.6 of an acre compared to, I think the whole conservation easement is like 3-4 acres. It's not like we're asking for a lot. And the river is an asset to this project, and we would like to have our tenants enjoy the river.
River is an asset to the whole town. Oh, and I think
I agree.
if people are kayaking and things, I
agree.
take my kayak out on Tungus Mead at least several times a year, and I enjoy the natural setting. And it's not going to be there anymore, so I'd like to keep a scrap of it left, a little bit left as a natural setting as you paddle by this area. I mean, there's going to be huge buildings there now, and I don't think it's, keep talking about you want to maintain this area with regular grass cuttings and things, and you're talking about a state park, and that's not what the intent of the conservation easement was. So I think it's very different. I mean, the way you describe what you're looking for is a state park, and that's not what a conservation easement is for. So I think we need to do a full application and have an understanding of what you're proposing for the use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments for the commission from the applicant? Okay,
No, Robert, we appreciate your guidance, and we'll work together as a team to come back forth with the commission with more details. If appropriate.
Tom, Megan, and Abe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Good night.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chad. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Commissioner. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Welcome, bye.
Thank you.
So Bruce, that's the end of the planner's report, correct?
Yes, I do have a request though. An
Go ahead.
application, the applicant for 9 Apple Tree, the one that we approved a couple months or a couple meetings ago, is online with his hand raised. I'm not sure what he wants. I'm not sure if you want to entertain that or not.
Yes, as the chairman for the night, I will entertain that. I don't see, I don't see all the hands. There it is. Okay,
Yes.
Byron, Bruce recognized you have your hand up. If you want to raise something for the commission, go ahead. You've got the floor.
But-
Is
Byron, are you there?
is-
Maybe you walked away?
yeah, Mr. Rodriguez, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I don't see a microphone or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a microphone.
Commissioner Eisner, while we wait for Byron to figure it out, I just sent you a message. Is there any way to get the plans or the approval that happened on this project prior to all of us so that we can get up to speed? Because quite honestly, I'm not feeling very comfortable with it, and I didn't like the answer that Mr. Kahoud just gave, that there was no size limit described. It seems like they're pushing the limits as far as they can go, so I'd like to be up to speed before I even consider voting on it.
Yeah, Bruce and Shannon and Sandy would have all that information. The problem is it's a huge file, but I understand that you're looking for sort of what the site plan and what the actual motion to approve would have been. So I don't know, Bruce and Shannon, if there's an easy way to maybe hold to the top of the massive file, those key documents, to refresh all of our memories and help bring some of the newer commissioners up to speed.
And I think we're just basically looking for right now, at least this area that he's arguing with us about, making it, like Ned said, into a state park that I don't believe any of us really want.
Commissioner Canto, in the agenda review, I did give a brief summary, or tried to be brief, but because it was a big application, I brought everything up to date. And in there's links to the documents that are in there. So if there's something, if you want to start by going through that, feel free to go through that. And if there's something else that you want, just give us a buzz and we'll add that to the folder.
Okay.
Yeah, it does include the final plans and the wetland report that were just shared. And Bruce also provided links to the videos, because this was all done via Zoom, so it's all video link. And so the links are there with timestamps as to where to find particular information, so you don't have to sit through 3 hours of meeting time.
Oh, you guys are.
You weren't at the public hearing, so you have to sit through the 3 hours. Okay?
No, we don't.
Yeah, you'll have the benefit of anything you see in the future will be a new application. So it's all new information.
Yeah.
And you have to go and walk over the property and get poison ivy because it was inundated with lots of good stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is an absolutely beautiful property to walk, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely agree. If you have not been down there, let us know and we could meet
Yeah,
you
we
down
can
there.
walk down with anybody at any time. I mean,
Oh,
obviously.
Oh, no, I know
choose
it
to do
very
an
well. I
application,
used to
you can
fish
do that.
down there as a kid. It's a great chunk of land.
So, anyhow.
Yeah, we can get the owner's permission and we can meet you. All right.
Okay, so maybe one more time, Mr. Rodriguez, are you able to hear us and can you talk?
Now,
I don't see a
promote him
microphone.
to a panelist, but I'm not getting anything. So
Okay,
I'll call him in the morning to find out what he wanted. So,
okay, thanks, Bruce.
okay. And then that's it. We can just approve the minutes.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes for May 17th, 2023? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for May 17th, 2023?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Rich.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, carry.
I'll abstain, Mark, because I was not at the meeting.
So Bruce, I think we're good to adjourn, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to state that I am going to be away on vacation and I can't, I'll be out of the country, so I don't think I'll be able to get to the next meeting on June 14th.
Your request to go out of the country on vacation is approved. Enjoy, Ned.
I thought he was gonna say denied.
The next meeting is June 21st though, right?
Let me see. I got my,
Or maybe it's the 20.
yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
21st.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, all right. I knew I couldn't make one next meeting. I'm going the 14th to the 22nd. So.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great
so
plan.
whenever the next meeting was, I wasn't gonna make it.
Okay, so noting Ned's vacation schedule, we can now adjourn the meeting. It's 8:25.
And go to the Conservation Commission.
Yes, and we'll open the Conservation Commission meeting at 8:25 also. Bruce, do you want to do a roll call? Do we need to do a? We don't need to.
No, roll call.
right?
The only thing I had on there was the midpoint development, just in case if we needed to make a decision based on the conservation easement, but seeing that we did not, that is not needed at this point. I don't have anything on the planner's report and Commissioner Statch, I'm not sure if you have anything update on the land acquisition committee meetings or anything.
No. I don't think there's been, I didn't go to the last meeting. I don't think there's been another meeting since.
Okay.
Okay, great. So now we're just on approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 17th, 2023 Conservation Commission minutes?
So moved, Ned.
For a second?
Second,
Is there a
Rich.
second? Thanks, Rich. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
And Mark will abstain.
They carry. Okay, and before we adjourn, Bruce, I'm actually gonna be on vacation as well. Not as long as Ned, but I'm gonna be on vacation on the 21st and my wife will definitely not agree with me calling in.
All right. I'll check with her though. I'll see if I can get her. I'll see if I get her to.
I would suggest you not do that.
All right. Have fun, you guys. Enjoy, please.
All
All right, so
Thank
we'll
you.
adjourn at 8:27.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Good
Have
night,
a good night,
everyone.
everybody.